Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast. We are going to talk about manifesting the dream team or manifesting dream team members into your business and finding people that are just the right fit, people that you are just so grateful to have on your team. And I'll tell you, I've used this process and I have manifested the dream team. In fact, I was inspired to write this episode and come up with this episode, share it with you, because I just 2 hours ago dropped off my team at the airport. They have been here on Maui with me for the past 4 days, and we did a team retreat. It was the first one I ever hosted. We got together live in person and did work and play. We went over the entire year of marketing, planning, visioning in the business. And we did a bunch of tasks that we had on the back burner that we just wanted to get to. I mean, it was so productive. And then on top of that, we played half the day. So we went out and saw the whales. We went boating and sailing. We took walks and hikes together. I showed them around the island. We went to fantastic restaurants. It was amazing. And it's something I've decided I'm absolutely going to do annually. And I'll probably have to do another podcast episode about this, about how I came up with this idea of hosting a team retreat and what we did and how it ended up being so successful so that you could potentially implement that as well. But what I want to talk about today, because I was so inspired as my team was with me, it wasn't the full team. We have someone else on maternity leave, and then I have another person who works with me on the podcast. But I had the two people who have been working the most with me come and stay with me and, do the team retreat. And when I think about my team as a whole, though, all the members that are working with me, which we have 4 people on the team, I have an OBM, I have 2 virtual assistants that do different things. And then I have a podcast producer who helps me edit this podcast and produce it and get it out there into the world. So it is a lean team right now. I've had more people on it, but we did cut back last year. And I just feel like the people that we have in right now are really such a good fit, and we are all in the flow with each other. We're all aligned. It just works really, really beautifully. So I want to share the process of how I co-created this, how I created this with them, right? And how I use manifestation to call people in, because I do. And I have to credit Chris Plackey, because I did a program with her called How to CEO. And I wanted to learn how to hire, how to fire, how to call in the right people. And when she was coaching me, I remember I was getting into the strategy and the nitty gritty, which we can all tend to do. And she looked at me and she said, Jamie, wait, what's step 1 of the manifestation process? And I said, wait, what? We're talking about manifestation? She's like, Jamie, you're a manifestor. Like, you can manifest your team. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Light bulb moment. She goes, what's the first thing? I said, I got to create the vision. What's the dream? She's like, that's step 1. So I realized, wait a minute, I can implement my soulful manifestation process for attracting the right team members. And that's exactly what I did. So I want to share this process with you so that you can do that as well. First, though, before we even get into the vision or the manifestation, the first thing that's really important is to expand your capacity to receive. right? You got to expand your capacity to receive and be willing to step back and realize that you don't have to do it all on your own. You get no gold medal for that. You get no increase in self-worth if you are doing it all yourself. If you are spending all the time, energy, hours, getting it all done on your own, there's no award that's going to go out to you, right? So this might be your invitation, especially if you are the bottleneck in your business, which I've been there. I took way too long to start hiring. I didn't hire for, I think, 3.5 years of having a successful business. That's how long I think it took me to start hiring. And so one thing that I wish I could have told my past self was hire sooner, because it will help you grow. It gives you time and energy and space back to be in your zone of genius and to focus on the things that are really going to move the needle in the business, right? So this may be your opportunity to expand your capacity to receive, right? And so many people, I think, struggle with stepping from a do-it-all, like a solopreneur and, someone who's just doing it all on their own, to thinking that like, oh, it's going to be so much to hire, right? Or it's just a different identity all of a sudden when you step into that identity of having a team member, right? A lot of people think it's going to be a lot of pressure, it's going to be a lot of money, it's going to be heavier, but I want to invite you to see the possibility that it could be easier. It could be more fun. It absolutely could expand your business. In fact, that's the reason we do this, is because we want the impact to grow, and we cannot do that all on our own. So I just want to invite those thoughts to kind of percolate in your mind, and for you to start thinking about that of like, what if you are more ready than you think, right? What if you don't have to do it all? Just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. It also doesn't mean that's what's best for the business overall. So I want to invite you to expand your capacity to receive, because that's one of the biggest blocks for people around hiring, is that they're not willing and feeling safe to receive more support. And it's just an invitation. And it also doesn't have to feel, comfortable in order to do it. You just have to know your why. So I would absolutely start with that. And also trust in the investment. That's another big one, is a lot of people only see what's going out when they start investing in a team, or in bringing on contractors, or in hiring certain things out, is they only look at, oh God, what's going out. They're not looking at the full picture of, if I put this out, what's going to come back, right? What is going to, is it going to be more time? Is it going to be more clients? Is it going to be more revenue? Like, what might this bring back into the business? So I would invite you to also see the full circle of what's the ROI? What could the potential ROI on this investment be? And of course, I'm not saying go throw all of the money into building a massive team when you're not ready for it. Be methodical, of course. Start small. And I'm going to tell you how I kind of start out small and make sure that it's working out before I just hire someone on full time, right? I start small and then we build from there. Make sure that it's a fit. Make sure that it's right. Make sure that it makes sense. Make sure that the ROI is there by testing it out and experimenting. So I'll talk about that a bit, but that's another invitation for you, is just to trust the investment a little bit more than you may be right now. Okay, now let's get into the manifestation piece that I was talking about, that my coach back then, Chris Plackey, invited me into, which was to create the vision. This is my favorite way to manifest the dream team, is to first start with dreaming it up, right? The kind of, if anything were possible. Don't let your brain go to, oh, I don't know how I'd ever find that person, or that would be a lot of money. Like, let those thoughts go to the side for now. And I want you to start thinking about, what would the dream be? What would that person be like, right? And go through and start writing down a list of, what would my dream teammate be like? What would they be really good at, right? What would their zone of genius be? Meaning, what is their specialty? What is their gift? write all of this down. And I'm going to give you a bunch of questions. So you might want to slow this episode down or pause it or listen through the whole thing first and then come back and listen a second time with a journal so that you can actually write these questions down and do some journaling on it, because this is huge, is to really set yourself up with the vision first and do this brainstorming. It's going to help you attract a much better fit if you do this first. The next question is, what do you dislike doing? Write down everything in your business that you're doing now that you dislike doing, and what would you love them to take care of? Even if it feels kind of impossible to hand over, write it down. And then make a list of what you're really good at in your business. What do you really like doing? What feels like you have it locked in that you would never want to give this piece up? Or you feel like, man, the ROI on me doing this myself is just so high. It's something I want to keep. I want to hold on to. And then also look at, what are you really bad at? Like, what's just challenging? What takes up so much of your time, energy? Like, what are you not good at that you would love to delegate over to someone else? Make that list. And then what are the things that you feel like you absolutely have to do in your business? For me, I feel like, I'm a personal brand, so I can't delegate the podcast over to someone else, right? The recording of it, the ideas, the content. I got to be the podcaster because that's my role. Also, I want to be the one that's the visionary. I want to be the one that's coming up with the ideas. I want to be the one coaching. That's mine, right? Where I'm like, that is not something that I want to delegate. This is what I'm really good at. This is what people are coming to me for. It's something that I love doing. Could I add additional support in? Absolutely, right? I could always interview people on the podcast. I could always hire additional coaches. I do bring people in for workshops that have a different zone of genius and they teach too. But those are the things that I don't want to let go of. But then you can also make a list of things that you could potentially delegate. What are the things that you are doing that you could potentially delegate? It wouldn't matter if it were you doing it or someone else, right? So right now we're just doing this huge brainstorm list so that we can start figuring out who this person is, who this perfect fit is, and we can start creating that vision. Another thing that I love to get clear on and write down is, what does this dream team member need to understand about you in order to be more effective as a teammate, right? Things like how you work well, how your brain works, how your energy works, what your timing is like. This is a big mistake that I've made in the past is whenever I was interviewing, I forgot to ask, hey, what are your hours? And then telling them my hours and saying, hey, are these hours going to work for you? I had someone on the East Coast who started work very early because she had kids, and then she ended her day early for her. Well, I was on the Pacific. And so for me, it was a real struggle working with that team member because she was done by my noon and I couldn't get a hold of her after that. And there were things that had to be done during my working hours. And I tend to start at that time when I was in the Pacific Coast. I started at 11 a.m. and I would go till about 6 o'clock. And so we only had 1 hour a day that we could communicate, and that just didn't work. And so that's another big thing is, what are the hours that are going to work best for this person? Think about that in advance. Write that vision down. And let them know what hours you work. And again, how your brain works. I let people know, hey, I am not very good at keeping things back end organized, but I love it being organized. And when it's already organized, I'm good at managing that, but I'm not someone who's very good at being the person who creates the organization, right? So I love a brain that loves organization, right? And they love working with me because I'm a visionary. So I always like to communicate that. And I always like to think, what am I really bad at that I want that to be their strength? I want that to be something that they actually really love. Write all this stuff down, okay? And then the next thing to think about is, what would give you a lot of time back if you didn't have to do it? What would give you a lot of time back? Write that down. Another one, what personality would work best for this role that you're thinking about? Like, get that down. Get clear on what's the personality you want for them. I remember whenever I was hiring someone to do customer support, it was really important to me that they had a warm, empathetic personality, right? I didn't want someone who was kind of robotic and cold and, short response. No, I just wanted someone who was thoughtful and kind and empathetic and compassionate and had warmth to them. So I made sure that that personality is who came into that role. Also, what traits are really important to you? What traits do you need them to have? I know one for me is discipline, because I am such a disciplined person. If I say to my team member, I am going to get this to you by Wednesday so that you can get it done and get it out and get it produced, that will be done. My team knows that. They're like, you have so much self-discipline, Jamie. But the thing is, I also expect that of them, right? I don't want things coming in late. Of course, we're all human, and once in a while that stuff's going to happen, or, there's emergencies or things, but I want the communication. I want to make sure that you're on top of things. I want to be kept in the loop. So discipline is really, really important to me, and them having that self-authority, that self-discipline, and not needing to be micromanaged or babysat, right? So think about the traits that are important. Maybe it's detail-oriented. That's one that's very important to me. If somebody's scheduling emails, they need to be very detail-oriented and love to double check everything and make sure that they're sending it out to the right group of people. So make a list of those traits that are really important for your role. And also, this is a big one that I think people miss. What are the results you'd like to see from them coming into your business? Get specific with this, right? With this role that you are calling in, what are the results that you want to see? Do you want to see you getting more time back to do the things that matter in your business? Do you need space? Do you need time for creativity? Maybe you're gaining time back as a result of hiring them. Maybe it's revenue growth, right? If you're hiring someone in marketing, for sure, the ROI that you're going to want to see and you're going to want to expect is revenue growth, right? Is top of funnel growth, whatever it is. Maybe you're hiring a social media manager. What is the result? How many new followers are you going to want to see monthly as an effect of hiring them? Get really clear and really specific, and make sure that you're communicating that in advance. When you're about to hire someone, tell them, this is what I'm looking for. I want to hire someone that's going to help me grow X amount of followers every single month. Make sure that it's a fit and they can say, yes, I can absolutely do that. I'm confident. This is my zone of genius. This is exactly what I do, right? Because that's what you're going to be measuring as time goes on after you've hired them, to make sure that ROI is there, right? And every team member has a different ROI. It's not always just it's not going to be always Instagram growth, or it's not always going to be revenue, but it could be time back. But there is always an ROI. So you want to make sure to get clear on what that is for the role that you're calling in, so that you can watch and evaluate as that person comes in. Okay, so from this list of everything that you have written down, this vision, this dream, what I'm going to encourage you to do is put it all together and think about, what's the role that I want to hire, and how can I turn this vision into a job description? Because the more specific you get with your job description, putting all of these things, right? Timing expectations, personality expectations, ROI expectations, what you're looking for them to do exactly. What are the tasks that you're going to be having them do every single week? Like, the more specific you can get in the job description, the more likely you are going to be to actually call in the right fit team member. So I highly recommend getting as specific as you can in that job description, and use the vision that you have just written out to create that and to communicate that on the interview, right? And before we even get to interviews, so you're going to do the job description. And then the next thing I would encourage you to do, manifestation wise, is to see that person in the role. Envision it, feel it, close your eyes. Do a visualization. see it done, seeing them being in this role, seeing yourself magnetizing this person and attracting this person, right? Do that ahead of time and really feel what it feels like to have them there and to have that level of support. That is going to help your subconscious really feel safe having that. And also visions help create, right? I don't know what it is, but studies show that envisioning helps us manifest, right? Because the brain doesn't know the difference between something real and something imagined. So I think what also happens energetically or on a brain level is that once we feel that person in that role and really see it, when we're interviewing, it makes it a lot more likely that we find the right fit person because we're like, does this feel like it fits what I've seen in this vision, right? Or what I've felt in this vision? Does this feel like it? Are they checking the boxes of my job description? Does it feel like a right fit person, right? And from there, after you have done that visioning and you really put it out into the universe, you put that job description out there, you tell people this is what you're looking for, you share it with the world, right? You put it up on, I don't know, job boards, whatever, wherever you put that job description out there or on Facebook or in groups. Then just ask the universe to support you in attracting this person, right? And you'll start getting feedback, and that's when you can start doing interviews. And I do recommend doing several interviews and just feel the energy of that person, ask powerful questions, make sure that it is a fit with the exact vision of what you have and that this feels like a fit. Now, the next thing is that I would recommend for whoever you decide on to let them know that there's a 90-day period, right? Start out with 90 days. It doesn't mean that you officially have to bring them in for life. You want to start off with a 90-day trial period to make sure it's a fit for them, for you, for the rest of your team, for the business. Make sure the ROI is there. It takes some time, of course, to onboard a person and get them learning everything and understanding your voice and what they need to do and all of that and get into the rhythm. But 90 days tends to be the amount of time it takes to really see if it's a fit. And to feel if it's a fit, see if the ROI is there and if you are, getting what you wanted to out of this. And I would really evaluate monthly, see what's working, see what's not working. What do you want to do differently with them? Share that, communicate that, see how they take that feedback. And then after the 90-day period, that's where you get to decide, do I want to take them on and continue, or do we need to find someone else? And here is the biggest thing with manifesting the dream team. Is what I have found is if it's not working after 90 days, don't keep fighting. Don't keep trying. Don't avoid letting someone go who is not a fit because it's only going to get more stressful. It can just add more stress to your life to have someone in the role who is not the right fit, right? So I would say have high standards. That's another thing for a team. If you want the dream team, you have to have high standards. You can't keep putting up with stuff that, is something you don't want to be excusing, right? If somebody's late, if they're turning things in late, if they're hard to communicate with, remember, there is a sea of people out there that would love to have this role, that would love to work with you and that are a great fit. So don't keep someone there who isn't. It should not be adding more stress to your plate. It should actually be relieving stress. It should be supporting the business. So be willing to let people go. And that was also another mistake that I've made is I've given people way too many free passes, I've just excused too much. And then it ends up being awful. And then it ends up being something that it's like, oh, it had to blow up in order for me to let them go. And that is just so stressful. So if you sense it's not a fit, let them go and move on. Yes, I know it takes time to find another person. I know you have to onboard another person, but if you want to find the dream team, it's better to do faster than it is to hang on to someone who isn't right. Okay. Now, just to share, I would say, and just keep staying committed until you find your person. Even if you've been disappointed, even if it was challenging with one, it doesn't mean that you let go of the whole idea. It's kind of like if you feel called to find a partner in life, you're not going to let a couple bad dates make you decide you're never getting married, right? No, you're going to have some bad dates. You're going to actually go through some relationships that are rocky and that you learn from, but it is the same case in business. So learn from it all. I don't think there's any way to avoid that. I've had, team members that have come in and it's been rocky and it hasn't worked out and it's been stressful and I've had to let people go. But I will tell you what, if you just keep going, you can find the right fit. But don't keep trying to force someone who doesn't fit into that role because it's just never going to work. Lastly, with this, I recommend allowing yourself to receive, allowing yourself to let go. Once you have found that fit, really just start practicing trust in them, right? Letting them deal with their role, their zone of genius. Of course, you have to oversee everything, but really let go and allow them to do the work. Allow yourself to fully delegate and for you to focus on the areas that you know are going to have the highest ROI in your business. So that is how I have manifested the dream team. And I think the biggest part really is down to that vision and getting that vision solidified before going out and looking for people. Because I think that's the biggest mistake people make is they don't really know what they're looking for before they start looking, or they just pick based upon a job title. But it's not the right fit. So get that vision down. And if you got to go back and listen to this episode again, take 30 minutes to answer all of those questions because it will save you so much time and you'll be so much more likely to find your team. So as always, my friends, happy manifesting. Having the dream team is absolutely worth the time and energy and effort it takes to attract them. Once you have them, it's just the best. I truly love my business. Literally 50% of the love of my business has to do with the team that I have. I love it. I love getting on those calls. I love it whenever we brainstorm. I love co-creating. It is just so much fun and it is so worth it. And I am so grateful. So I am excited for you as you manifest your dream team members and get your team together. And once you do, treat them well. Treat them well. All right. Because, it's a special thing to have that. So anyways, happy manifesting, my friends. See you next week. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.